Kentucky Derby.
Turn. The leader, War Admiral, 2.5 for 3.
Next is in the center of the racetrack. The Seattle Sloop drawing alongside again.
War Emblem is still there. War Emblem is pulling away. He's got another gear.
Down the stretch they come in the Derby. Wheel away takes command.
Lion Hunt is all Hunt. Smarty Jones is all out. And here is the first undefeated winner of the Kentucky Derby since Seattle's Slow of 1977.
The 146th running of the Kentucky Derby is now just 5 days away, and the field for the Kentucky Oaks will be drawn this morning. Live from historic Churchill Downs, it's time for the Kentucky Derby Workout Show, presented by TwinSpires.com. Under cloudy skies, temperatures are in the mid-60s, and the main track is fast. Let's take a look at the headlines. Trainer Michael McCarthy and the Connections of Rushy have opted to bypass the Kentucky Derby in favor of a run in the Pat Day Mile. The 146th running of the Kentucky Oaks will be drawn this morning at 10:45 Eastern Time, and trainer Brad Cox has withdrawn Alabama runner-up Bonnie South from consideration. A field of 10 is expected to enter. The Bob Baffert trained Authentic blitz 6 furlongs and 112.40 at Del Mar on Sunday morning. An attachment rate breeze 5 panels under the Twin Spires and 101.20 for Dale Romans. Also, Max Player worked this morning. Hall of Fame jockey Javier Castellano has been named to ride Money Moves in the Kentucky Derby for trainer Todd Fletcher, and Ricardo Santana Jr. will pilot Donna Veloce in the Oaks for Simon Callahan. Joe Christopher, Scott Shapiro joining you, and Scott's getting real, buddy. We are now 5 days away from the Derby, 4 days away from the Oaks. The Oaks will be drawn today. In addition to that, just a great Friday card at Churchill Downs with the 8 Bells and the La Troyenne. Former Kentucky Oaks winner Monomoy Girl will be the highlighted horse in that race.
Yeah, happy Derby week. Big week ahead, obviously, Joe. Very excited to get things rolling. You mentioned the La Troyenne. I think it's going to be an outstanding race. Monomoy Girl, but there's a couple others in there that are interesting. She's a Julie. Cece Vexatious should be a very good race. Looking forward to that one.
And opening day of the Churchill meet is tomorrow, so we can't wait to get rolling with the live programs here at Churchill and Derby week, as Scott mentioned. Let's send it up to Brandon Staubel. Brandon, a beautiful morning here at Churchill Downs. The screws on the Derby and Oaks horses have been fully tight. Now it's just a little bit of maintenance work and trainers crossing days off the calendar.
Joe, Scott, good morning. Live up here on the 4th floor, and you said it exactly right. Major preparations are done. We're just looking forward to seeing some of the quote-unquote new shooters. Looking forward to some of the gallops coming out of the work and seeing how these horses are doing leading up to the race. So, yes, the major work is done, but we still have action to see, and we want to see that these horses are thriving going into their big races.
Yeah, Brandon mentioned some of the new arrivals, talking about obviously some of the bigger names. 'Tis the Law, Honor AP, Authentic horses that will be arriving today. We should get our first look at those horses here tomorrow. Let's get a look at those horses on the points leaderboard, Scott. Down to 17 horses now, but the big names still on the board.
Yeah, they sure are, Joe. 'Tis the Law, Authentic. You just mentioned Art Collector, Honor AP up there. We lost the 10-hole with Rushy was up there yesterday, but Enforceable, Max Player horses I'm a little interested in underneath.
Bob Baffert really touting Authentic and 1,000 Words in recent days after their Works 5-time Kentucky Derby winning trainer. As you take a look at the second page, Money Moves for Todd Fletcher, who has started more horses in the Derby than anybody. And Sole Volante hoping to get our first look on the racetrack at him today as he arrived yesterday.
Yeah, he's a horse that could be running on late, a little dubious of the 1.25 miles for him, but he finished well in some races. And Money Moves took on older horses last time, almost won at Saratoga.
Max Player had a workout at 5:45 this morning. We're going to take a look at that in just a moment. But again, Scott, 2 wins on the resume, but more importantly, those 2/3 behind 'Tis the Law.
Yeah, this horse continues to move forward now in the Steve Asmussen part. Should be finishing well. Not worried about the pedigree with this one. We'll have to turn the tables on 'Tis the Law. Maybe the change of scenery will help that.
Yeah, and I think he's looked really good since arriving here at Churchill Downs a couple of weeks ago for the Hall of Famer, and he had a 4 furlong breeze here today, and had a little bit of a side wager with our producer director Michael Canali. I said 49-4, Brandon, and I don't know what I win yet.
Yeah, Steve would maybe like you in the barn, you hit it right on the head. I mean, that's what he's looking for in here, and you'll see approaching the quarter pole here in just a second, the rider will take a peek down at the watch. And that's one thing, if you're new to the game, we've talked about it before, a lot of these trainers don't like to do much before the race. They don't want to squeeze the lemon right before the race. They want them to peak in the race. So very true of the Steve Asmussen barn. Going to just go an easy half in here, basically probably 25 and 25 to the wire, and he'll take another peek at the watch right there, and then another one at the finish line, just making sure he's hitting those marks, because the last thing a rider wants to do, really for any barn, is to go back to the barn and have the trainer looking at you and staring at you down the shed road because you went too fast. So he does have a little bit of the higher knee action, but he's moving well behind, gallops out well. Steve Asmussen is probably one of the best, if not the best, at getting a horse to peak for a big day. So there's an opportunity for this horse to improve off of his form.
Second on the all-time list of wins is Steve Asmussen, closing in on 9,000 victories in his career. Scott, but one race that has eluded him, and it's the toughest race to win in all of racing, the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, you said it, Joe, the toughest race to win, and it's probably not a matter of if, but when Steve Asmussen finally gets his Derby. You see, looking at Lee, who rode the rail that day to finish second to Always Dreaming. Gunrunner obviously moved on to bigger and better things, but ran a good third. Yeah,
and look, you got Gunrunner and Curlin on that list. Obviously wants to win the Derby, but those two horses became two of the best older horses in recent memory. So it's not about one race, although this is the most coveted race. It's about a horse's entire career, and no two in recent years better than Curlin and Gunrunner. Let's take a look at a trainer that has won the Kentucky Derby 5 times, who has 2 horses enter this year. One of those is Authentic, Scott, and he's 4 for 5 lifetime, but he's going to be double-digit odds in the Derby most likely.
Yeah, probably will get bet a little more than he would if he was for another barn. A struggle maybe to get the distance that he's going to need to get, but he's got speed, he's got talent. The big question will be the 10 furlongs and the trip he can work out.
Brandon, you mentioned yesterday that Bob Baffert leaving no stone unturned. He does a lot of creative things in his workouts. We saw Authentic behind horses in a recent work. He's out there solo, but man, he blitzed 6 furlongs, and this horse is looking good.
He did. He looked really good in this drill. And Scott, you're exactly right. I feel the same way. For me, it's more about the distance. There's no question about the talent in here. I mean, you'll be able to see down the lane once this horse gets around the turn how just athletic he looks. The biggest thing, I guess, for me, I'd like to see the horse drop his head a little bit. He is a little bit high-headed when he runs, but no question the talent is there. And Bob, kind of opposite styles. We just talked about Steve Asmussen, the fact just kind of an easy half in here. Bob's still kind of tightening the screws a little bit, putting more speed, more stamina into this horse. It's a pretty stiff work coming into the race, but if it was any other trainer, you might be a little concerned, but this is just how Bob Baffert does things. You can see that red pole he just hit. That was the quarter pole. Going to come around the turn here, and he really strides out well down the lane. He's got a nice reach up front, seems happy, seems to be doing it well within himself. And you can see those ears pricked, and like I said, he does carry his head a little bit high, but that's really the only thing to knock. I will say right at the wire, I don't know if he gets a little bored or what, but he does kind of shorten the stride a little bit right here past the wire, right there. He just kind of shortens the stride a little bit. Maybe he just got a little bored, thought his work was done. You can see the rider kind of nudging on him there. He wants him to pick it up, and then when he does pick it up, he gallops out really well. So I thought it was a very, very nice work overall. Maybe not spectacular, but that's probably just what Bob was looking for.
Authentic should be forwardly placed. We're thinking in the Kentucky Derby, but also 1,000 Words, who should be forwardly placed as well. Scott, I'm thinking maybe 1,000 Words goes to the lead.
Yeah, I thought so too. I think he does his best running on the lead. I saw an interesting quote, I believe, from the owner or the ownership group talking about the managing partner of the ownership group, talking about how they were going to probably take him off the pace. But I'd be surprised if at least one of them, if not both of them, are either on the lead or right off the pace.
One horse that will be racing from off the pace is Attachment Rate, and he had a workout yesterday here at Churchill Downs. Dale Roman's playing a little bit coy earlier in the week, talking about the potential for the Pat Day Mile, but Scott, pretty confident all along. Dale likes to run in the Derby. He missed the Derby last year. He's not going to miss 2 in a row.
Yeah, I think this horse deserves a shot. I think he moved forward significantly last time in the Ellis Park Derby. Hasn't run well over this racetrack in 2 starts, but I think he deserves a shot, finishing as well as he did against our collector in the Ellis Park race.
Jockey Joe Talamo is going to join us a little bit later on in the show to talk about Attachment Rate and his move to the Kentucky circuit. But for now, let's take a look at Attachment Rate, his partner, with his workout yesterday here, Brandon.
Yeah, I thought he handled himself well yesterday. One of the big things I look for, not only in the works, but the gallops leading up to the race, just looking for that professional attitude. I thought this horse has been pretty professional the whole time he's been out. You can see this is the beginning of the work in here, and we talk about Dale Romans, Chris Hartman, Greg Foley, guys that will, if they're going to go work 5 furlongs, they're actually going to start from the 4 furlong marker and work past the wire, just teaching the horse to finish a little bit. And, kind of an interesting runner in here. I listened to Dale, and he just kind of mentioned that the horse kind of brought them here. And I thought that was interesting that, maybe they were on the fence, but the horse was telling them that, they should run. You can see the ears there pricked up at the quarter pole, just kind of saying that he's got a lot of horse in here. We'll ask him a little bit down the lane. He does take just a quick second to get switched over, but that was fine. And then I thought the gallop out was good. We talk about working through the wire. He's going to ask him a little bit here and then kind of get after him a little bit on the gallop out. I thought his gallop out was good as well. So solid work in here. Maybe not as flashy as the authentic work or some of the other ones, the King Guillermo work, but just got the job done. And that seems to be this horse's style, just very workmanlike. You can see the rider now, he really wants him to finish up around the turn, get something out of this drill, but very workmanlike horse. And I didn't see anything that says, wait a second, I'm not going to include this horse in my tries and supers.
Steve Asmussen, Dale Romans, two of the local trainers that are still searching for their first Kentucky Derby win. And Dale Romans going to go into the Derby with attachment weight. We caught up with him.
He went super today. He did just what we wanted to do with him. I mean, he's run a lot of times this year, so you don't have to do a whole lot. And started out even and finished up fast. And I was very pleased with it. He's fit. He's ready. I mean, he's sound, fit, happy, healthy. And I think the amount of quarter will do him good. So, I think he's as live a long shot as there is on the board. He's running well on everything. That, if he could run against maidens on a fast track, he'd have done the same thing. But he's run with the best horses in the race, I think. He's ever, without other than Tis the Law, he's run with all the good ones. And he showed he can compete. He just had to move up a little bit. And then maybe the Ellis Park race was a breakthrough. It was a big race for him.
Dale Romans Beer taking on a life of its own there as we take a look at his statistics, Scott, in the Kentucky Derby. 0 for 10 in the Derby, but a couple of good third-place finishes. And 2018, he had promises fulfilled, set the pace. He wound up in the months to come becoming one of the best sprinters in the country. So the Derby winds up being a race that everyone is pointing for. Horses do what they're supposed to do thereafter.
Yeah, he had Free Drop Billy in there as well, and I'm sure he's back, excited to be back to the party, Joe, after missing it last year.
Dale Romans, local trainer here at Churchill Downs, a longtime, obviously Kentuckian who is, second in the all-time standings at Churchill Downs. So let's take a look at Art Collector. Speaking of locals and Tommy Drury, Scott, and what's there to say? He's just been absolutely sensational the second half of the 3-year-old campaign and coming into the Derby the right way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're excited to see him run and kind of sort of rooting for him.
Yeah, we had questions about whether he would like 2 turns back earlier in the spring. I think he's answered those questions. Now he's going to have to work out a trip, get out of the gate in good order. A lot of horses are going to want to be where Art Collector wants to be in this race. But no doubt the 5-race win streak has been impressive, and he appears to be doing great.
Take a look at Art Collector on the racetrack here at Churchill Downs. And Brandon, this was his work from the other day, and take us through it.
Yeah, and Brian up for the work. I thought it was kind of, funny yesterday. Chantel was kind of mentioning that Brian's been basically following the horse, even coming back from Ellis Park to come back and jog the horse, and he's even maybe sleeping at the barn with the horse. I mean, it's just, it's kind of neat to see a jockey so close to a horse. Just shows you how much he really thinks this horse is special. But you can see Brian checking the watch there a little bit, just understanding that the directions of the drill probably were to go a little bit slower early, try to get this horse to relax. We know he has some tactical speed, but get him to relax and then let him finish up. You can see him checking the watch again there, and he'll hit the quarter pole here at the turn, and then this was the best part of the drill. He finished up really strong in here. You can see if you watch his fronts around the turn, he's really starting to stride out. Brian will check the watch one more time there and then kind of maybe chirp at him or smooch at him down the lane, just wanting to pick it up a little bit. And I thought when he hits the 8th pole coming up, I thought this was the best part of the work. He was really striding out well in front of me. Checking the watch one more time there, and he does flip to the wrong lead for just a second, but I think that's more of him being a little bored right there. Kind of just a little bored, but then he reaches right back out, and just really impressed with the way this horse strode out. Brian never asked him a ton. You can see that he's carrying a lot of flesh behind, and then he galloped out well. I thought this was a very, very, very good work.
We continue to charge towards the first Friday in September. Kentucky Oaks draw a little bit later on this morning, and first Saturday in September, the Run for the Roses. And if you have any questions about anything you've seen on the show, any of the horses, Brandon does a great job explaining things that happen in the mornings, both with the workouts and, just regular exercise as well. Any kind of question, they're all good questions. Hit us up on any of the social media outlets as we say good morning to Lori from Canada, Rob from Charleston, South Carolina, Stephanie from Virginia Beach, people watching from all over the country and all over the world. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with a whole lot more in just a few. As you see the tractors giving.
Sports look different this year, like Derby in the summer. While you're celebrating the fastest 2 minutes in sports at home, Twin Spires is your ticket to the Kentucky Derby. Bet on the Derby and do it all from your mobile device. Use code GET200 to start earning your $200 new player bonus when you join Twin Spires today. The fun, fast, and easy way to bet on the Kentucky Derby. Twin Spires, the official wagering partner of the Kentucky Derby. Download the app today.
With over 200 flavor notes to discover, every sip of Woodford Reserve Bourbon is a spectacle for the senses.
We are back on the Kentucky Derby Morning Workout Show presented by TwinSpires.com. Again, temperatures probably closing in on 70 degrees. It's very, very comfortable. We had some light rain earlier, but the track does remain in tip-top shape, rated as fast for the training period that will happen at 7:30 here this morning. And Gamin's supposed to arrive today. A lot of people looking very forward to seeing her on the racetrack for the first time at Churchill Downs tomorrow. Swiss Skydiver has been here. Speech has been here. I like seeing her come out on the racetrack. She's got that little attitude tail swish that she likes to flaunt. But Kentucky Oaks going to be a great race, and we get to draw it today.
Yeah, super excited for it. A very strong rendition. You have the Gamin, who's wowed us in a couple big races for Bob Baffert. You have Swiss Skydiver, who's won at multiple tracks. And you have Speech, who I'm starting to think, Joe, more and more is the right horse to bet. Maybe not the most likely winner, but the best price.
Yeah, Mike Battaglia will have that morning line right after the draw, so we'll see what he's thinking as far as prices go. Gamin, Swiss Skydiver, 1-2 favorites. Speech that third choice, but it's going to be a distant third choice. As we take a look at the list. Hello, Brandon. How's it going? Going up there. Take a look at that list. Are we sending it to Brandon?
Yeah, we're going to take a look at some works for the fillies in here.
Sorry about that. Let's go to the Oaks leaderboard. Sorry about that, Brandon. Oaks leaderboard is coming up next, and it's 10 horses now instead of what could be 14, which is the max. Bayernus just joining the fray recently. Again, Swiss Skydiver's Speech. She Dares the Devil from Brad Cox, as we did lose Bonnie South.
Yeah, we did. It's interesting. Donna Veloce I've been looking at. I know this horse is talented, fifth on the list, 62 points, but has only raced once during the 3-year-old campaign. A very tough task for her. I think She Dares the Devil, another horse along with Speech that's interesting, at a pretty good price, Joe.
Swiss Skydiver got his chance to see her work the other day. She came back to the racetrack since. Let's take a look at her with that 49-1 as she went nice easy half here, Brandon. Looking forward to seeing her on the racetrack, hopefully again this morning.
Yeah, I think Kenny McPhee called this the happy half mile, just kind of trying not to do too much. You can see Brian staying busy in here. He's up on Swiss Skydiver. One thing you notice about her, the first thing is kind of the ears just flicking back and forth, just how easy she's doing it. I think they went about 23 and change early. Didn't do a whole lot down the lane, finishing up in 49-1. Just want to make sure that, like Kenny said, you're keeping her happy. She's done a lot this year and really had a lot of races back to back to back to back, and mile and a quarter last time. So she really doesn't need the fitness like maybe some of these other ones do coming out of races or off a layoff. So Brian checking the watch one more time, and then you can still see those ears just kind of flicking back and forth down the lane. And the theme with a lot of these works, especially the local works that we've seen, we want to see how they're coming out of the race. How do they look in the flesh? And I'll be looking to see what she can do.
Swiss Skydiver's second choice.
Take a look at Gamin here. We're going to
behind this gal.
we're going to bring her up on the screen. There
Strutting
she
her
is. She's
stuff.
on the outside. And one thing you notice about her is just how much flesh she's carrying. We talk about the flesh on horses, just the bone and how much fitness they're carrying. You can see, if you take a look at the hind end there, how built up it is. And you're really going to see that when they turn around for home and she kind of spurts away from the mate here, how much power she's carrying. And you can obviously see that in the races. She's fast, and she's got a trainer that will work them fast and build up that fitness. So she's just going to sit off here, maybe just try to relax a little bit. They'll just play the break, I'm sure, in the Oaks, depending on the post, whether they go to the front or not. But just nice to see that horses that have a lot of natural speed can be able to relax. And you even see a team that's breaking off in front of them here are already working in front of them. So the fact she's not running off, throwing her head up and trying to go after them, she's relaxing, she's listening. That's what you like to see. And she's going to hit the wire here in just a second, but striding out well. And then take a look at the power behind, the way she's hitting the ground behind. And then when that back end comes near the wire, and you can see how much power she has and how she draws off. Just really, really impressive in there. And can't wait to see her on track. She looks like a powerhouse on the video. Last one we're going to take a look at here is Speech, and I'll tell you what, Scott kind of mentioned that this may be the horse to bet. This filly, every day I see her, she's making a better and better impression on me. She's just really cool. She just comes out here a little bit of personality to her, a little bit of feistiness, but that's what you like to see in good fillies. I thought this work was better every time I watched it. She just did everything so easily. When she first came out, I was a little bit worried maybe about the distance. I would call her more of a little bit more of a compact filly, but she's just so easy on herself, and she's got speed. And you watch her ears there, looks like a very smart filly, just kind of pricked at the quarter pole, knowing, hey, if you want me to go, I can. Switches leads right on cue, and then the rider never really does much to her down the lane. She's just very straight, very honest, and like I said, I think every time that this horse comes out, this filly comes out, she just kind of moves more and more up my list. And she's got the tactical speed, but you can see with the ears there, she just listens, and that's what you like to see, a horse that maybe if she needs to sit second, third, or fourth, she can listen. And she's built up very well behind as well, and she travels well over the dirt. Really impressive drill, and excited to see her the next few days.
That's the Oaks trio right there, the big three, so to speak, Gamine, Swiss Skydiver, and Speech. And man, I know we do top 10 list on the Derby website, and they change from month to month. But man, I don't know. From what I'm seeing in the value, Speech, I mean, we got to make her picks tonight, Scott. I still got a decision, but she could be the top choice.
Yeah, she's going to get a great trip. You got Gamine, who I expect to be on the lead. Swiss Skydiver danced a lot of dances. Could get the perfect trip, going the mile and an eighth right off of Gamine, but also chasing Gamine could end up being her demise. So I think Speech is the right play, maybe playing under and over in exactas or something of that sort if your win plays better. But Speech is doing everything right, and I know you've been on her for a long time.
Yeah, I liked her. Post positions will be drawn today, a field of 10, as we take a look at the time for the draw, and it's presented by Ford. It's 10:45 a.m. Kentucky Oaks post position draw. And again, if you're watching us on the work show, you can find us on the same channel you're watching on. It's going to air live, and you can pick it up recorded if you can't catch it, again, on all of our social media channels. Derby draw tomorrow, same time, same place, also presented by Ford. And the Derby draw, 17 horses right now are eyeing the entry box, and looking very forward to that post position draw. New 20-horse gate this year should make things a lot more fun and fair for everybody that's involved in this year's Kentucky Derby. And the man that will be calling the race, Scott, is a good friend of ours, a track announcer here at Churchill Downs. He and I came in the same year, 2015, Travis Stone. Travis, thanks for joining us. I know you're doing the Oaks draw a little bit later on this morning. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed for a big day of racing, and obviously a big weekend, one I know you look very forward to.
This is a lot of fun. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on. I tell you what, I missed the memo on wearing the red shirt today. I wore black, but at least we're representing Louisville Cardinals a little bit.
Good to see you without the shirt. It's okay, Travis. But in addition to being a great race caller, you are a pretty solid handicapper as well. So I wanted to get the people started with maybe an underneath horse that you like quite a bit, and then we'll talk a little bit about the race calling.
Yeah, I mean, so the Derby is such a fun race because obviously it's a mile and a quarter, big field. There tends to be some pace because the money's on the line. And I think it sets up often for like sort of the deep closer that's just going to try and pick up some pieces late. And I do think Enforceable is that horse this year. He's obviously proven to be at least somewhat competitive with many of the horses in this year's Kentucky Derby. I like how his campaign is sort of, they backed off a little bit to bring him back on for this fall Derby. And I think he's the one you'd want to key underneath because he's also going to be a big price. Everybody's going to be a big price outside of the core favorites because of Tiz de La's likely favorite status.
Travis, let's talk about 2015 and your being hired by Churchill Downs, knowing that you're going to call the Kentucky Derby. And obviously that's an experience like no other in this sport. Just kind of talk a little bit about, the lead up to that and the experience of calling that race for the first time.
Yeah, I found out that I was going to become the announcer here. I was on a subway in the middle of Manhattan, and John Asher called me and let me know. I remember that very well. It was actually rainy and cold. It was a miserable day. That was the one bright spot, though. I had never been to the Kentucky Derby, so the first time I was going to call the Derby was going to be the Derby I was going to go to for the first time. And it's kind of hard to believe that. But it was a whirlwind experience. It was a lot of fun. Obviously, it was a beautiful day, and it was a good horse as well. And thankfully, from a race caller's perspective, the race wasn't that wild. The three of them sort of went out there and went around the racetrack, and that was about it. So it was a fun time, though.
Travis, you call hundreds of races each year, but there's only one Kentucky Derby. How is your preparation for the Run for the Roses different than all those other races? If so, obviously a bigger field and a bigger race, but curious how that might fit.
Yeah, I mean, on a typical race day when we have 9 or 10 races here at Churchill, I'll look at the PPs earlier in the week when the entries come out, but there's not a lot of prep multi-days out. Whereas the Derby, I've been working on the Derby now for 3 or 4 weeks. I've got a page for every single horse in the race with some notes and some thoughts and things to think about, markings or running styles or how they tend to participate in the race. For example, I know that Tiz de La is very tractable. It's probably going to be a little bit forward, but he also doesn't have to be on the lead. He can be a little bit off the lead. So you just got to be ready for those types of scenarios. And then, what happens if our collector turns for home with a 3-length lead and Tiz de La is going to try and run him down? What are some good ways to describe a scenario like that? And then all the other possible scenarios, just try and figure out all those possible situations and have something to say for them, and hopefully when the time comes they flow off the tongue.
Better you than me, Travis. I've called a few races, man. I mean, that's a very unique skill set, especially 17 horses, most of the time 20, with a pressure-packed environment like the Kentucky Derby. Not only the epicness of the race, but all those fans here. Let's talk about last year, because last year was a little bit different. The rain, there were some similar silks in the race. Obviously, what happened after the race and the lead up to the eventual disqualification kind of put us in your shoes from that day.
It's funny. I've been asked that a lot over the past year, like what that was like being involved with it, and obviously the disqualification, everything that followed. I go back to the actual race itself. They came on the track, and there was Game Winner, War of Will, and Maximum Security, and they were all in bright pink silks. Long Range Toddy and Vacoma were supposed to have 2 different colored silks, but they looked exactly the same in sort of the foggy, rainy, darkened weather, and the race was just brutal to call. It was absolutely horrendous. And I remember a few very specific moments. They came off the turn, and obviously Country House had ranged up on the outside. But like in your mind, he's a long shot. You're not really expecting him to be there. And I just remember at the top of the stretch, oh my God, who is that? And, luckily the preparation and the memorization all came, and I just said Country House. Thank God it was right. But when they crossed the wire, it was one of those, I am so happy this is over. And I was just so relieved. And whatever happened after the next 20 to 25 minutes, a sort of a blur, because I was just so thankful to get through the race unscathed.
Travis, very quickly, I know you're hosting. I'm seeing the Oaks Draw and the Derby Draw today and tomorrow. John Asher held that role for a long, long time. We all miss John, the Kentucky Derby, and John Asher, obviously synonymous. What's that like to, kind of take the torch from him?
John was such a great guy, big supporter, and obviously a fan of everything Derby and Churchill Downs. And he was always so encouraging, no matter how your day was going. He always gave you the pick-me-up that you needed. And so it's a big honor to follow in those shoes and participate in that. Typically, it's a very dramatic event, right? This year, I think the drama is where's Tiz Law going to draw, and whether or not that impacts his chances a little bit. It's fun to be a part of it, though. I mean, Derby week really kicks off when those pills are pulled, and we know where they're going to be in the starting gate.
Well, thanks, Travis. We appreciate you stopping by, and we look forward to seeing you at the draw a little bit later on this morning. The designated time for the Derby and Oaks horse is right around the corner. But first, let's remind everybody, if you're new to horse racing, twinspires.com, that's the place you want to sign up for an account. There's a lot of great promotions going on there, but we also try to help you out if you need a little bit of help. When you start in this game at the beginning, Scott, it can be a little bit intimidating.
Definitely. It's a very good spot to start. You see there our colleague Ed DeRosa, who's joined you on the set here several times. He's been hot. You got other quality handicappers, Jonathan Kinchin, Pete Fornatal, Ashley Malou. Definitely recommend checking them out before you place your bets.
Horses coming on the track, including some major Kentucky Derby and Oaks contenders. You see Necker Island. He's one of those for the Derby. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned.
Sports look different this year, like Derby in the summer. While you're celebrating the fastest 2 minutes in sports at home, Twin Spires is your ticket to the Kentucky Derby. Bet on the Derby and do it all from your mobile device. Use code GET200 to start earning your $200 new player bonus when you join Twin Spires today. The fun, fast, and easy way to bet on the Kentucky Derby. Twin Spires, the official wagering partner of the Kentucky Derby. Download the app today.
With over 200 flavor notes to discover, every sip of Woodford Reserve bourbon is a spectacle for the senses.
Time for the designated training for the Oaks and Kentucky Derby horses. It's 15 minutes. You'll see the Kentucky Derby horses in the yellow saddle towels, the Oaks horses in the pink saddle towels, designating their participation in that race, which will be drawn, as I mentioned, 10:45 this morning. As you take a look there, Scott, at Art Collector. And, you know, we talked about this, man, when you handicap this race. We don't have the post positions yet, but there are 6 or 7 horses that want to be forwardly placed out of that first turn into the backstretch. Going to be very interesting to see who gets that good position. This is a horse that wants a forward position. We're going to go back to Art Collector momentarily. Brandon, real quick, Enforceable in the gate.
Yeah, the gate down here in the mile chute that we talked about yesterday, if you're looking at the track, the chute is on the right all the way in the back, and that's where we've got the new starting gate. And Enforceable for the second day in a row, going to go over and check out the gate in there. And you can see, I think yesterday from what Chantal said, that he did kind of maybe just balk a little bit a couple of times going in, just got a little bit worked up, but he goes right in after a couple of tries. So just getting familiarity with the gate, and then this is some of the preparation that goes into the work that a lot of people don't see. You're handicapping the races, you don't see all the work that actually goes in the mornings. Things like this are what separate some of the elite trainers, just doing the little things to try to win big races.
And Scott, we mentioned it earlier, all the horses for the Derby have to go to the starting gate. It's a brand new gate that has never been used in a horse race here at Churchill Downs. So, you know, getting them familiar with the new gate, and we're going to get familiar with it on Tuesday, second race, 1.25 mile maiden race.
Yep, looking forward to seeing that, Joe. And Enforceable is a horse, they're all going to need to learn to get out of the gate, this new gate, in good order. But Enforceable is a horse that struggled to get out of the gate in some of his races. So as much as he's a deep closer and will need some pace to run at, he does need to get out of the gate and be able to relax instead of being forced into the race.
Major Fed. We get to see Major Fed at 7:30. Keith Wetzer, the leader of our team, wants a Major Fed button because of the workout the other day. He was very impressed by it, as was I, and we get to see him. He usually comes out early in the morning, 5:15 for Greg Foley, but Brandon, this horse has to school in the gate, and he has to do it at 7:30, so we get to see Major Fed live and in person. Yeah, force the hand a little bit. I mean, it is difficult. Certain barns do like to stick to their routines, and that's the way horses are too. They love their routines, so the better ones, you can kind of take them out of it and do some different things with them. He's coming down right in front of us in here, do a little bit of jog, and maybe his gallop. We'll see what they're going to do there. But yeah, I mean, exciting to see that he appears to have come out of the work okay, and just nice, easy jog so far. Scott, this is one of the horses in the race that we really don't know how good he is because he has trouble. He's had trouble in almost every start. Even the last race where he ran second in the Indiana Derby, compromised at the start. Wide trip. James Graham said he was compromised by the winner on the turn. Again, a horse that should be finishing late.
Yeah, we talk about Enforceable being a horse that struggles to get out of the gate almost on purpose as a late runner. Major Fed's a horse, they want to be in the middle of the race, maybe even in a stalking position. He hasn't been able to get that position, but he has been finishing well. Should relish the 1.25 miles. Hopefully he can get his trip in the Derby. James Graham will be riding Major Fed in the Derby. I believe this is our first look at Sole Volante. Speaking of late runners, Scott, this is a horse that has a patented late run, and when he's been on his game, it's really a scintillating turn of foot. It sure is, Joe. It's interesting they bring him in off some turf works down in Florida, but this is a horse that I was really interested in earlier in the year, maybe as an underneath type. I'm not sure if he's peaked. They rushed him back into Belmont off a very short layoff, so he's been given some time off. He's another horse that you might want to consider if you're playing trifectas and superfectas using for third and fourth. Yeah, he's had 11 weeks off coming into the Kentucky Derby. Again, this is a horse that has a really turfy kind of pedigree, but he's more than proven himself on the main track, Brandon. The first time you see a horse here at Churchill Downs, he got here yesterday. What are you looking for?
Just trying to get to know the horse a little bit. Obviously, I'm not down at Palm Meadows or down anywhere in Florida to be able to watch him train on a daily basis. So we just want to get to kind of know the horse a little bit. He, just first appearance on the screen, he has a little bit of a classy look to him. Loved the ears on him when he was back there. And one thing that, especially a new surface, they'll just give the horse time, maybe just stand there. We've seen our collector do this a lot, just kind of stand there and let the horses take everything in. But does make a nice appearance on the screen, carrying decent flesh. But, I would say he makes a little bit of a classy appearance. We'll just watch him do what he's going to do today, get to know him a little bit, and then see how much he impresses the way he's moving over the track.
A great story here. This horse is a $6,000 yearling, flipped for $20,000, purchased by Patrick Biancone, the trainer, as a birthday gift for his daughter, Andy Biancone. Can somebody please buy me a birthday gift that's that good?
I mean, that's a dream come true. That spending that kind of money, getting the win in the second place finish in the Tampa Bay Derby, going to the Belmont Stakes, and now, of course, being here for the first Saturday in September, the Kentucky Derby, Joe.
Yeah, talking about that pedigree, a half to the versatile and talented Explode out of Canada. The dam was 1 for 5, a full sister to Group 1 winner Light Shift, who has lots of stamina on that dam side. And we also getting our first look here at Dream Marie. She's an outsider for the Kentucky Oaks, Brandon, which will be drawn again today. And she looks like she's got a little bit of leg to her.
Yeah, getting a first look in here, and you would think by her running style too, she would be okay with a little extra ground. And same thing, we don't want to really start knocking these horses first time we're seeing them. We just want to kind of get used to them a little bit. With her being a filly, we saw it with Speech, how she kind of comes out and has a little bit of attitude there. Same thing here, looks like she's feeling a little frisky first time over the surface. The air is pretty cool up here right now, not a lot of humidity, so a lot of these horses feeling good, and we just want to kind of watch her move a little bit, see how she's taking everything in. And you can see the ears pricked up there, kind of flicking a little bit. She's looking around, just kind of, hey, where am I at? And then we'll see her over the next couple of days. We'll see how comfortable she gets.
Oaks is a tough task, Scott. I mean, you've got the big three, and then you've got everybody else, and obviously Dream Marie fits into that category. But, man, it's everybody's dream to run of these races. She's earned her way in, and she seems to maybe, a little bit of a disappointment in the last race, but she's run some races that would make her competitive maybe for a piece of this.
Yeah, she hasn't won since rattling off 3 straight victories in Florida late November to mid-January, and was no match really for fellow rival hopeful Growth in the Monmouth Oaks. But, again, another $25,000 purchase that's made it to the big race, maybe can run on for a piece with the right trip.
We've got 4 gray horses in the Kentucky Derby this year, and Dream Marie, obviously a great filly for the Kentucky Oaks. Our first look at her under the Twin Spires as she arrived yesterday for trainer Matthew Williams and the Connections. And again, the Oaks draw. I know I've said it maybe once, twice, maybe 5 times, but it will be today at 10:45 a.m. in the Aristides Lounge. Looking very forward to that. And Scott, once we get the Oaks draw, All the other races will be drawn. I mean, Brisnet.com, the place to go for your past performances. We're going to have the PPs for a fantastic Friday Oaks card later on this afternoon. They've already drawn tomorrow, opening day, Wednesday and Thursday. We're going to be feasting on steaks. The main course is obviously the Oaks and the Derby.
Yeah, plenty of great racing to come. Starts tomorrow. Plenty of handicapping for all of us to do and all of you to do. Get that Twin Spires app ready to fire it up tomorrow, and tons of great wagering, and as you mentioned, feasting on steaks later in the week.
Again, that's Dream Marie out there. There's going to be so many horses tomorrow that will be hitting the track for the first time. We mentioned Tiz the Law, New York Traffic, Authentic, Honor AP, as we take a look at King Guillermo. And Brandon, this is a horse that we certainly have seen often during the course of the morning work show. He's been here for quite some time. Got a chance to visit with Victor Martinez, a former major leaguer baseball player who really seems to have hit a home run with King Guillermo, just the second horse he ever purchased. And I just want your overall impressions of what you've seen with this horse. You've seen him over the course of the last couple of weeks. You've seen some fast works. You saw the maintenance work the other day. Just your overall impressions on the King.
Yeah, he's been really solid, really, the whole time. He's been here very professional. Never really seen him turn a hair, to be honest. And that's what you look for, especially when you get to know a horse a little bit. Anything out of the ordinary that they do, you definitely kind of knock a little bit. But there wasn't really anything to knock, really, over the past couple of weeks. We've talked about the fact that he's not going to be this flashy galloper. He just gets a lot out of his gallops and just kind of moves the way he moves as an individual. So, looking forward to seeing if they actually maybe we've seen horses blow out, so to say, a little quick work. We'll see maybe if he does that like a Wednesday or Thursday.
Well, there's Enforceable, Brandon, and again, just continues to impress each and every morning.
Yeah, he's carrying good flesh too. He seems to be very happy out of the work. We saw him over at the gate. Now he's going to put in his gallop, and for how big he is, he's very stout, in my opinion. I think he travels very light on his feet. He gets a lot out of his training, it seems like, and he does wear blinkers in the races, but he doesn't wear them in his works, maybe just not to get him too overly worked up out here. Everybody's an individual, so Mark Casse probably knows what's best for this horse, and just very light on his feet. I've been very happy with what I've seen from him.
Only Enforceable and Necker Island have had as many as 10 starts. Despite the September Kentucky Derby, the only horse with that much experience to win since 2000 was California Chrome 2014. It's definitely a different era in horse racing, but this seems to be the old school kind of throwback horse, Scott, Art Collector.
Yeah, great story here for Tom Drury Jr. Brian Hernandez Jr., the local connections, continues to move forward, as we've talked about, has gotten the right trips, loves the Churchill Downs racetrack, and, he's the major player that's been here so far of the big three, I guess, that you expect to take the most money.
Just a good solid gallop, Brandon. Again, just crossing off the days leading up to Saturday, and Art Collector just keeps ticking along.
Yeah, he seems to have come out of the work in fine order. It was nice of Tom Drury to give Brian Hernandez the day off today, and instead of galloping out here or coming out to work. It looks good. Looks very good to me as far as the way he's stretching out. He's very composed, and especially with speed horses, talk about it all the time. You don't want to see that they're kind of running off in their gallops. He's very relaxed. Seems like he's listening, and he just makes a beautiful appearance. You can see he's carrying good flesh behind and getting a good push behind, reaching out well with the fronts. Just really like the way he's moving. Seems to have come out of the work really well.
A lot of people probably don't realize, but what's going on right now as far as the local schedule goes, Indiana Grand running the first part of the week, Ellis Park running the second part of the week, and jockeys that are riding at Ellis Park can only ride there. This is actually obviously an Indiana Grand day, it being a Monday, Scott, so maybe Brian can just kind of relax a little bit, take everything in, the draw tomorrow. I mean, speak of people that are counting down the days, you got to put him on that list.
Yeah, it's a big day for him. Brian's had obviously other mounts in the Kentucky Derby, none though as serious as Art Collector. I'm sure this is a moment he's been waiting for. Really glad for him that he's landed on a horse like this that wouldn't have been in the Kentucky Derby had we had it in May. He's got to be counting his blessings.
Interested to get Brandon's impressions on Swiss Skydiver, who, did work yesterday, but maybe didn't look quite as good as she had in previous days coming onto the track and maybe even going off the track as well. What do you think of her? She looks a little bit better to me today.
Yeah, she's carrying, I would say her coat is gleaming a little bit more than last time we saw her. She did visit the paddock down here, and look, I mean, she's had a tough campaign. lot of races, a lot of miles under her, but we just want to make sure that she's happy going into the race, and she seems like it. She's got that neck bowed, watching the ears just kind of flopping back and forth. She's got her head down, just going about her business. She makes a favorable impression here.
Swiss Skydiver for trainer Kenny McPeak, who has finished second in the Kentucky Oaks twice in the career, has trained 7 millionaires, and obviously not afraid to run. I mean, they ran her in the Bluegrass a good second against Art Collector. Then they take the Alabama at 1.25 miles. I mean, this horse, of all the horses, when you talk about improvement, Scott, this one's at the top of the list.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little concerned the more I think about it and look at it coming off that big race at the middle of August in the Alabama, going to be chasing Gamine. But you got to tip your cap to Kenny McPeak, who's run this horses at 8 different racetracks against all of the big horses, even tried the boys in the Bluegrass. So Swiss Skydiver brings an incredibly strong resume into the race. The question for me is she danced too many dances?
Yeah, right. I mean, she's certainly got an unbelievable resume. I mean, she's approaching the $1 million mark in her own right. Leading up to this, I believe $950,000 or $960,000 already in the bank, and certainly has outperformed the pedigree, outperformed the sales price, and she's going into this race as the second choice, Brandon. And again, when you look at how the Oaks is going to shape up, we'll talk more about this during the draw a little bit later on, but you would think Gamine is going to the lead coming out of those one-turn races, and with the speed that she has, Swiss Skydiver most likely is going to get the trip that she wants.
Yeah, you would think so, unless something crazy happens and maybe Swiss Skydiver draws the rail and maybe Gamine wants to sit off. We'll see after the post. But, yeah, her tactical speed is what makes her so dangerous. The fact she can really do what she wants. She can sit or she can go. And just mentioning down the lane here, she is striding out pretty well today. Ears are just kind of flicking back and forth, carrying good flesh down here. So, I think I like her a little better maybe than I did the other day.
Let's go back to Enforceable, who, is just checking all the boxes. The question is, at least in his training, question is he good enough to win the race? Scott, when you look at that pace scenario up front, we talked about 6 or 7 horses who like to be forwardly placed, but no real, maybe authentic, but it'll be interesting to see what the strategy is. 1,000 words, no real burners, but I think the pace will be honest. This horse is going to be running late, kind of just the trip is going to mean so much to him. If he can save any ground during the course of the race and avoid some traffic, again, he can get a piece of it.
Yeah, the draw tomorrow is going to be very important. Like you mentioned, there's horses that like to be right off the pace, have that tactical speed, but that'll probably determine how fast they go early. I do agree with you. It'll at least be an honest pace. That's why I've continued to move Enforceable up. Had a very good winner at Fairgrounds, got some time off, ran solid in the Bluegrass against the flow of the race. Looks like he's coming into the race well. Second start of the form cycle. Adam Biscuits had taken the call, Joe.
I've asked Ed this before, and obviously Brandon, much more of the visual type, a great racing analyst, but he's also got that going for him too, with watching the workouts and how these horses are moving and traveling. Listening to Brandon, listening to Chantel, reading some of the things, and then what we see on the track from these horses, Scott, how much does that play? We're handicapping for form. We're, looking at key races. We're looking at pace scenarios. But like you said, he's moving up my list too.
Yeah, I like to take all the data I can, and some of the stuff that I'm not isn't much of an expert in, quote unquote expert. I've listened to people like Brandon and Chantel for. So hearing that this horse is doing well and seeing that he seems to be coming into the race well definitely bumps him up my list a little bit.
Brandon, strong finisher for Enforceable. We caught up with Adam Biscuits the other day. 1.25 mile race. Strong finisher, and Adam seems to be a good fit for this horse.
Yeah, you would think so, and I think a little extra credit, too. The horse has been based here basically his whole career, so he's very familiar with the surface, seems to really like the surface. And very important, too, we listened to the assistant from our Casse talk the other day, just how well that those two get along, Adam Biscuits and Enforceable. And I think that really means a lot. This isn't the first time he's getting on him like maybe a couple of the other ones in here. He works the horse in the morning. He's been working him for a while, even down at the fairgrounds. So I think that really means a lot, and especially in a race where so much can happen, and this guy's going to be a price. There's just a lot of pluses in this guy's corner.
Scott, not often do you see horses coming back off of a 2-month layoff in the Derby, but Enforceable is one of those. Major Fed, 8.5 weeks. Sole Volante, 11 weeks. King Guillermo, 4 months. It's just a different kind of year.
Exactly. You mentioned it's a different kind of year. 2020, of course, pushing the Derby back. And normally that would be a total red flag for me, but these horses are more mature, Joe. Things have gone differently this year. They're just more mature. They blossom so much from May to September in a 3-year-old campaign. I'm not too worried about that all with Enforceable. Horses like him have finished second and third in this race many a time.
He's got the pedigree, man. $775,000 RNA, a half to New Year's Day, a full to Mohayman, a full to Kingley. The dam was a multiple graded stakes winning miler router, 5 siblings over 140 grand. I mean, when you talk about pedigree, Scott, Enforceable has one of the top pedigrees in the race.
Definitely. I was thinking he might be a Belmont horse earlier in the year. In the winter, obviously that was a 9 furlong 1-turn race, much different this year, but the 1.25 miles should not be a problem for Enforceable. If Adam Beschizza can work out a trip and get some pace to run out, he will be running on late, Joe.
All right, so we've got some questions via social media. Please send some more. We've got a little bit of time potentially to answer those here today. This is one for Brandon. Jim in Indiana wants to know what carrying a lot of flesh means.
Sure. Yeah, we hear that term a lot. Basically, that they're carrying good weight, and the coat too. You talk about the coat on a horse. Sometimes when they come out, you can see that they've got a lot of, we call them wet, or they're washy, where they've got the sweat dripping down. Other times that coat is glistening. You can really see it on a chestnut. The lighter brown horses, when the sun's out, that coat is just glistening. So when we say they're carrying a lot of flesh, just means that the coat is kind of radiating.
Deborah wants to know, Scott, who you and I like in the Derby.
Well, I think Tiz the Law is the clear and obvious horse to beat. The draw will matter, but in terms of that second horse, I know we differ a little bit. I'm on Honor AP. I think he's coming into the race wonderfully. Not concerned about him getting beat in that small field at shorter distance at Santa Anita. I think Honor AP is the better bet than Tiz the Law.
Yeah, watching these workouts and also how the horses look and combining that with their form. Honor AP has moved up my list a little bit here in the last couple of days, but man, it's going to take a lot from me. And I thought maybe at one point I was considering picking Art Collector. It's going to take a lot. I mean, I'm going to pick Tiz the Law. Again, we're looking for prices, right? We're also trying to pick the winner, especially the Kentucky Derby. Tiz the Law just looks too good to me right now.
Tiz the Law is going to be my top pick as well, but Honor AP is going to be a horse I'm going to bet around.
Joe Talamo's riding one of the long shots in the race, attachment rate for trainer Dale Romans. He is kind enough to join us right now. And Joe, great to see you. Good morning. And I want to ask you right off the rip here, Southern California, Cajun to start, obviously. You had a great run in Southern California, but you decided to move your tack. You're back in the Kentucky Derby. Tell us about that decision and how it's all played out for you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's played out well, just being fortunate to get him out in the Kentucky Derby this year. But so far, so good. We've gotten to some real good outfits here, and just hoping we can keep moving forward.
Joe, Scott Shapiro, thanks for joining us. For most of the year, I was under the impression that attachment rate your mount in the Derby might not be a 9 or 10 furlong horse, but I thought he finished real well in the Ellis Park Derby the second time you were on him. Do you think he can get the 10 furlongs on Saturday afternoon?
I honestly think that's a better distance for him. I thought he ran pretty good in the Bluegrass, but his last race, I mean, he really stepped up pretty good against Art Collector. And what I really like was his energy after the wire. I mean, he was, he still had a lot of energy, still wanting to, gallop out after the race, which impressed me a lot. And I really think the 1.25 miles is going to suit him well.
Hey, Joe, Brandon Staubel here up on the 4th floor. I just wanted to see if you could just elaborate a little bit. I know for fans that are new to the game, they maybe just think the jockeys kind of show up in the afternoon and then just ride and that's it. But, it really starts in the mornings, getting into some of these barns and working these horses, getting to know them. Can you just kind of take everybody at home that's new to the game through that process?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, most of our days start, anywhere from 5 to 6 in the morning. We'll come out, kind of walk around, breeze horses for different trainers. So it's not one of those things, like you said, we don't just show up at 12 and 1 o'clock and race. There's definitely a lot of preparation that goes into that, and not only that, just fitness-wise, like on off days and stuff like that. I know a lot of us will go to the gym and run to stay fit for race days.
Joe, let's talk a little bit about your relationship with trainer Dale Romans, one of the great personalities in horse racing. Talk about your relationship with Dale and whether or not you think he's going to tame that beard before Saturday.
I don't know if he will. He's cool. What I love him, he's so laid back, which I mean that's kind of how I am too. So we get right along, and again, he's given me some really good opportunities since I've gotten here. Especially with attachment rate there. So really looking forward to it.
Joe, you've ridden in 2 Kentucky Derbies with Sydney's Candy in 2010 and War Story in 2015, but your first mount was supposed to be in 2009 with the morning line favorite I Want Revenge, who got scratched the morning of. Tell me a little bit about how that day went, and and obviously a very interesting first experience.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was very... That was a crazy week. That horse was doing so good going into the Derby. I remember I breezed him, I think, 4 or 5 days before, and I don't think a horse could have worked any better going into the Derby. And I mean, we were just on such a high, really, that whole ride since he won the Gotham to Wood, and we just had all the confidence in the world in him. And then when I found out that morning, I mean, that was definitely a kick in the heart there. But again, it's one of those things you just have to keep your head high, keep working hard, moving forward, and hope that you can get back here one day.
Well, Joey, thank you for your time. Safe trip in the Kentucky Derby. Great to have you here on the Kentucky circuit as a rider, and we look forward to the big race coming up on Saturday aboard attachment race. Scott, I remember that morning specifically. I was covering the Derby, found out about, I Want Revenge and Joe and the whole situation, and the air was just let out of the backstretch, man. It was a tough one to take, not only for Joe, but for everybody, but more so for the connections. The Kentucky Derby is one of those races, man. And it's the opportunity was there, and then the rug's pulled out from under you.
Yeah, you build up to it all year, even as a 2-year-old, up way up to a 3-year-old. It's a tough thing. We saw AP Indy one year scratch in the morning. Last year we had Omaha Beach scratch a little earlier than the morning of. But yeah, you mentioned it. The air out of the balloon is a good way to put it.
One horse did work earlier this morning. Final preparations continuing and basically finishing up with Max Player here locally. And 49-4 Brandon on a Monday for Steve Asmussen and his Kentucky Derby charge.
Yeah, and one thing about this drill, we just see the rider checking the watch at every pole, making sure we're not doing too much. We're 6 days out. Prototypical of the barn in here, the last of the major local workers, and just getting a feel, like, once again, for the surface. You can see him check the watch again there, and mentioned this earlier, the last thing a rider wants to do, especially on a horse leading up to a big race, is go too fast right before the race. Like I said, you don't want to go back to the barn and have Steve looking at you down the shed row and just giving you the eye because you went out there and went 47. So the riders check the watch, make sure they don't go too quick, but they make sure they don't go too slow too. They want to make sure the horse is getting something out of it. You can see that Max Player travels with a little bit of that higher action, but he gets a nice push from behind and he gallops out well. Mentioned carrying good flesh. This horse appears to be carrying good flesh, and not out of the realm that this horse could actually improve with, in my opinion, is one of the top trainers in the game at coming up to a big race.
Taking a look at Max Player there, and again, it's all about the betting, Scott. When we get to this point, the handicapping, making sure you have ammunition in the account. And if you're new to wagering, twinspires.com is the place to go for so many reasons. But, fill up that account with some cash, and we're going to give you some bonus money.
Yeah, I'll be putting Max Player in the back end of some of my exotics on TwinSpire, but start your $200 new player bonus today, Joe. Just use the code WORKS200. Get that TwinSpires app rolling right away.
The time has come. I mean, this workout show, on a Monday, that leads right into the Kentucky Oaks draw. We've been talking about these horses. We've been scouting them. We've been handicapping them. Now we're going to have the field. We're going to have the post positions. The show starts at 10:45 in the morning. Brandon Staubel and myself will be hosting that. It's presented by Ford. We'll take a look at some of the replays of some of the big races, the major contenders. We're going to draw the field. Travis Stone as the MC. Wherever you're watching us now, tune back in at 10:45 for the Kentucky Oaks draw. Same time, same place, same presenter, Ford, Kentucky Derby drop. Derby 146, 10:45 Tuesday. Looking very forward to that. 17 horses right now on the list, and the draw will be very, very important. Always a lot of drama for the Kentucky Derby post position draw, which again, presented by Ford tomorrow at 10:45 a.m. Well, Scott, Kentucky Oaks draw, handicapping right along Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday will be drawn with the Oaks and those great stakes races on that card. What are your final thoughts from today? Still a lot more Friday to come, and obviously those post positions for those big races here on a Monday.
Yeah, I mean, the Oaks draw might not mean quite as much with the smaller field, but the Derby will as well. One thing, other than the horses seen on the track, it was interesting to hear Joe Talamo suggest that he thought Attachment Ray would be better served at 10 furlongs. This is a horse I think you really want to take a serious look at when you're putting together your supers and your tries. Not sure if he's good enough to win, but he's got tactical speed. So thinking about Attachment Rate a lot, I really appreciated the insight from Joe.
Wait a minute, I thought he was going in the Pat Day Mile. Yeah. All right, Brandon, your final thoughts from today as we get one step closer to the draw for the Oaks.
Yeah, I thought Art Collector put in a really nice gallop. He's just carrying great flesh and seems to be hitting really well. I thought he was maybe the most impressive out there today. Thought it was great to see horses go to the starting gate and kind of get a feel for that. So we'll look forward to seeing more of those horses go over, and then looking forward to seeing all the fresh faces come in. And I'm just looking for horses that look like they're thriving going into a race and they're professional the whole time they're out here.
Brandon and I will be stepping into the telephone booth to get change for the Kentucky Oaks draw, 10:45 a.m. Looking very forward to that. And my final thought is just looking forward to tomorrow, Scott. Ed DeRosa will be in this chair. You'll be joining him, as will Brandon. And I'm just going to sit back and take a look at these horses that are coming in today that'll be on the track tomorrow, including Kentucky Derby favorite Tis the Law, Honor AP, Authentic, New York Traffic, and a whole lot more. Have a great rest of your day and pick some winners, buddy.
Yeah, lots of winners to hopefully sort through. Lots of PPs. Looking forward to handicapping the rest of the day.
All right, again, 10:45 a.m. Kentucky Oaks draw. Hope you can join us for that. Thank you for joining us on the Kentucky Derby Morning Workout Show. Same time, same place tomorrow. Have a great remainder of your Monday, everybody.